This is Tabloidazzi on xvala.com. The Greeks say we suffer our way to wisdom. Recently, Douglas Hofstadter wrote a book about his own human experiences. He entitled it, "I Am a Strange Loop." He said, and I quote, "I looked at her face and looked so deeply that I felt I was behind her eyes. And all at once I found myself saying, as tears flowed, 'That's me, that's me.' And those simple words brought back many thoughts that I had had before about the fusion of our souls into one higher level entity, about the fact that the core of both our souls lay in our identical hopes and dreams." I'm talking about this because I read David Brooks's column this week, as in fact I read every week, and I was intrigued both by his title, "A Partnership of Minds," and his subtitle, "Interconnectedness in Today's Information Age." I thought that it was interesting because, as he says, Hofstadter's suffering deepened his understanding of who we are, which he had developed as a professor of cognitive science at Indiana University. Hofstadter already understood the mind is not a centralized thing. There are dozens of thoughts, processes, emotions swirling about and competing for attention at any one time. It's like a quantum mechanics light show. What a great sentence. I think that in reality, the loss of someone isn't the loss of someone. They're still present. Sure, it fades with time, but and Hofstadter said this. He said, a self is a point of view, a way of seeing the world. It emerges from this conglomeration of loops, perceptions that we've shared, we've developed with others. In Hofstadter's case, he and his wife's lives overlapped. That didn't stop just because she passed away. I bring all this up because we're doing social commentary, and if we're successful, we'll stay out of politics. But we're tracking Hofstadter's social dynamic overlapping theory of self. He says it's congenial. It emphasizes, he says, how profoundly we are shaped by relationships with others. It's not just one of those stifling collectivist theories that puts the community above the individual. It exposes this individualist who think that success they achieve through their own genius and willpower. It exposes the fallacies of narcissists who believe they can find their true, authentic self by burrowing down into their inner being. There's no self that exists before the human experience, before the sense of community. It explains a lot of things. So the question arises, what do I mean by exposed? Well, there's a fallacy with New Age narcissists, something that's very popular right now. They believe they find their true, authentic self by burrowing down into their inner being. Well, the truth is self is a whole lot of things going on at once. And in this point, what they're saying is there's no self before that human experience. And that human experience is a lot of different things happening at the same time. Human beings are permeable. The habits that are common in underclass areas get the inside of the brains of those who grow up there and undermine long-range thinking and social trust. It illuminates the dangers of believing that there's a universal hunger for liberty. That universal hunger may exist in the abstract, but we're embedded creatures, and the way specific individuals perceive liberty depends on context. It lampoons political zealotry. You may be a flaming liberal in New York, and how can you not be? But it's likely you'll be a flaming conservative if you grew up in Wyoming. David Brooks says this in his column. We're saying this in our blog. We're saying that we're really a product of our environment. This nurture stuff is real. It's genuine. It's ongoing. I guess to quote Brooks again, he says finally it points toward a modern way of understanding how people fit into society. In the 19th century, Karl Marx thought that people were organized according to their material interest, their relationship to the means of production. Well, in the information age, it seems, we'd see people bonded by communication. It's not exactly new to say that no man is an island. But Hofstadter is one of the hundreds of scientists and scholars showing how interconnectedness actually works. What's being described is a vast web of information, some contained in genes, some in brain structure, some in the flow of dinner conversation, that joins us to our ancestors and reminds the living of the presence of the dead. I was overwhelmed when I read this week. It stayed with me all week. And today at lunch, I found myself in a compelling way drawing from it in a conversation about how we're all a product of everything. And everything is ongoing. We're going to talk about a lot of things today. And really, all we're going to talk about is trying to be connected. And all we're really talking about, what we're really trying to convey is how as human beings, we're really searching for connection. We're trying to feel some relevance in our lives. We're trying to feel that someone's listening. In all of this is really all we're saying. And ultimately, we'll be talking about it in a lot of different ways. And sometimes we'll use celebrities. Sometimes, if we're lucky, we'll use somebody like David Hofstadter, who has obviously distinguished himself, and whose book I commend to you, I Am a Strange Loop. The question's being asked, how's this relevant? How does this have meaning today? Well, we're all about the communication age. We're all about 200 cable channels. We're all about all this bombarding communication. And in all of this, as human beings, we're trying to be relevant. In all of this, as human beings, we're trying to find some, as we would be given to say, meaning in our lives. Well, here's the meaning in our lives. Be emotionally vulnerable. Put yourself at risk. Reach out. Feel that extraordinary rush of excitement. And who was it? Tennyson, who said that it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. Sometimes the paraphrase is referred to as the most relevant quote in the English language. I always enjoy that. But let me say that, there's a lot going on. And for the most part, if we don't hear it, it's just noise. Make an effort. Live in the present. Be relevant. Be true to yourself.